Okay, I would like to start with quoting Brené Brown here, that maybe stories are just data with a soul. And this is my story. I hope by me sharing this, it will make the world a little bit better for my children and all children of this world. There is so much we don't see when we look at another person, and most of what we see is a reflection of ourselves. I grew up with my mom and dad and big brother in Sweden. I had really long hair that I didn't like to wash. And one day, when I was around 9, my mom got really tired of it and chopped it off. It was just a couple of centimeters, just standing straight up. My favorite color at the time was blue, and I used to inherit my brother's clothes, or my guy cousin's clothes as well. I was basically the only girl in my age where we lived. And before reaching puberty, you really just look at someone and say, it's a boy or it's a girl, depending on the length of the hair and what clothes they wear. So people who didn't really know me all of a sudden thought I was a boy. When going to my gymnastic class, the teacher thought I was a new pupil. So I had to say, no, it's just me. I just cut my hair, that's all. One could say I got the rare opportunity of knowing what it is like to be a boy, but without a costume. One time, I went to an event to try out to play badminton. I was immediately picked out in the guys' team for kids my age. I was the only one in my age trying it, so I got to play with 3 other guys that had been playing for a couple of years. After a while, one of the guys says, "Hey, aren't you a she?" And I said, "Yeah, but that's okay. I'm usually in the guys' team anyway." There were no girls' teams where I lived when I was playing soccer, for instance, so I just joined the boys' team. I didn't see anything odd with that. I just played with my friends anyway. But the male leader reacted and said, "Oh, we are so sorry. We will fix a girls' team for you to play with." So I got to play 4 new matches. And this happened quite a few times, that someone was changing their behavior towards me when their image of me changed. Or to be clear, when they perceived me as being a boy or being a girl. For me, I noticed that when the person first thought I was a guy, I got comments like, "Let the boy try, he gotta learn and he gotta build some muscles." Then, if someone told them it's a she, all of a sudden the comments would be, "Oh, I'm so sorry, let me show you." Or, "You don't have to do that, let me help you." And sometimes, when I didn't want to do some stuff, I just play the girl card, not really realizing what I actually was experiencing. I was still just me. It's actually just a couple of years ago that it dawned on me, or as this quote from Goethe elegantly captures, "One only sees what one looks for, one only looks for what one knows." I loved computers at an early age. I was still the only girl in the gang. It started off with Commodore 64 and moved on to Amiga 500. And here it is. It is now located at the Technical Museum in Stockholm. I loved to code, and when I was 9, I decided to become a programmer. I had had a guidance officer in school telling me this when I said I wanted to become a programmer. "You are going to be all alone in that class. There's just going to be boys, and afterwards, when you are done, no one is going to want to work with you. Isn't healthcare something for you?" Today, I can appreciate him being so candid. It's easier to tackle someone who is blunt about it or telling it as it is, than to tackle someone who says one thing to look good and then not backing it up with the correct actions. Even if I, at the time, thought he was dreaming back to the 1800th century, I didn't see that at all. I just thought I would be among friends, just as I had been when I was growing up, and I would hear my mom say, "It's different times now. It's getting better and better, and you can do whatever you want. You just got to work hard, and you can do it." It was different before when I started working. I couldn't go to work if I was not wearing a skirt. But after giving birth, me and a colleague talked to each other before going back and decided to go back wearing pants, even if it was not allowed. And this is my amazing mom, who made the world a little bit better for me, I hope, and everyone else. Still, I took the advice and studied to become an assistant nurse and mental nurse. It was a good extra job supporting one through school, and also for a couple of years more than full-time. I even continued to study to become a nurse, but didn't finish. I just got a feeling that I can't do this anymore. I have to do what I really want to do. Programming and anything to do with computers really had all along been a spare time interest. I was lacking some subjects or courses to apply to become a programmer. So to be qualified, I needed to start at the natural technical program at Komvux. However, they thought I had too good grades and I was too young to go there, so I was not accepted. So I went to the council's office and told my story and tried to say how much I really wanted to do this. Luckily, there was a really high dropout at the particular program, so all I had to do was to promise not to drop out if she accepted me. So I did, and I got in. Yeah? Can we? Right now, I don't know. Too nervous. But we can take later. Yeah. Yeah. I also took some extra easy courses that I thought would just benefit my grades. One was a DOS course. The teacher didn't know that I already knew this, but one day she said, "Everyone who knows this now can leave and don't need to come the next times." So I and 5 guys got up to leave, and on the way out, she stops me and she said, "Are you sure you really know this? Because if you leave now, then if you need help, I will not help you." And I said, "Yeah, I know this." And then when it was time to do the test, I thought I should answer all the questions in all possible ways it is done to really show her how wrong she was. Later, I actually got an apology, but that does not happen a lot. I got into the electrotechnical program at Lund University. I met my husband there, so I didn't focus so much on school, so I didn't finish, but my husband finished. I continued to work as an assistant nurse, and one day I heard on the radio that there was going to be an education to become a programmer or a network technician. The only catch was that you needed to be unemployed. Luckily, my boss thought that the person I was working for was going to come back during the summer on her own schedule, and I was going to work by the hour. Even if I had a schedule for full time, still you are technically unemployed. If you go by the hour, so I went to Arbetsförmedlingen and I said I wanted to register myself as unemployed, but I have a full-time job. And the person I talked to said, "You have a full-time plan for the whole summer. Are you sure you really want to be registered as unemployed?" And I said, "Yep." And then I applied for the programming course and did a couple of tests and got in. At the same time, yeah, we can split it up. At the same time, I was contacted by Helsingborg's kommun, and they offered me a full-time study employment. I thought, oh no, now I can't go to the course. But I said I had been accepted to a course, and they asked me if I rather wanted to do that, and that was it. It was a 2-year paid education. The first year all went the same courses, and after that you got to choose if you wanted to become a programmer or a network technician. I loved all the courses, also the network technicians ones, but still chose to become a programmer. And going in school to become a programmer, I was told from one of my teachers, "Girls are not technical, they are stupid and cannot program. And maybe this Polish parliamenter ripped him off. I don't know if everyone has seen it. You can Google it later. After that, he gave me back my test we had done earlier, and he had scored it with basically 0 points. At that time, I felt really close to actually be working as a programmer, and I got really sad and shed a few tears, and I felt I was not going to pass on last courses and everything was in vain. But my classmates really showed support, and later another teacher checked my test and gave me my real score. He did actually get fired because everyone else in my class told the incident to the persons responsible for the course. The start of the next day, I was told by the receptionist in school that I should apologize to him for getting him fired. I told her that if someone deserved an apology, it would be me. Finishing school, I get a job as a system developer right away. The course I had taken was actually tailor-made for that company, I was told. But I think I was the first to get a job there. But before I start talking about work, I need to address this issue. Sometimes in this business, you get the feeling you are the only woman on earth. It's a nice feeling. I mean, who doesn't like to be liked? But if you can't say no thanks without changed and often bad behavior, then it's not so nice anymore. And if you don't get the proper support you need from your teacher or your manager, who it sometimes can be, then it's even worse. One big example is the Uber incident, reflecting on one very, very strange year at Uber by Susan J. Fowler. And if you haven't heard it, you can Google it. But I think you get the point anyway. Another example is Michelle Obama. She also takes it up in her speech regarding Donald Trump. So I finally get to work as a programmer. I got the title system developer, and at a company a lot of people want to work for. And of all the people, they chose me. I started working in a small pilot project. There was one consultant who I was intended to replace, who taught me everything about that particular application. Since it was a pilot project, I got involved in everything from the database and up. It was a very fun and interesting time, and I learned a lot. I was actually the number 169th employee, but after a while, the company grew rapidly to about 500 employees and 500 consultants under a year. And pretty quick, the people I worked with got replaced with new people. I liked the fact that I didn't only have to program, but would also take care of our servers. So often I sat in our server room, located in the middle of the office with glass all around so you could see in. And the guy who had started a little bit after me would come in and sit and talk with me. He insisted we were going to be friends. At that time, I thought I had more friends than I could be a good friend to. So I said that I was sorry, but he didn't back off. One day, though, our manager had an announcement to do. This guy was going to be technical responsible and have educational responsibility too. Basically, what I was doing on a daily basis. It was going to give him 1,500 extra each month as well. And no one told me that I wasn't going to do that anymore. But I stopped doing it since he got paid 1,500 each month for something I was doing. Then he gets burned out, and he tells me that he doesn't want that responsibility anymore, and I could take it. So I go to my manager saying, I say that, but then I was told that it was going to go away. So then I said, I think that is darn wrong, and if you don't take that with a higher manager, you yourself, then I will. And yes, I got it, the responsibility and the extra pay. So we got a new guy directly from school into our team. I was going to get him going in the team. I thought of my introduction when I had started and how good I thought it was, and tried to do the same. But whenever I asked him anything, the answer I got back was, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I'm not stupid. So basically, I needed not to learn him anything. He knew it all, at least to my face. He did not ask me anything. But my other guy colleague, he would ask the questions I earlier asked him, if he knew. For some reason, he could not talk to me about anything, but one day he talked to me about IQ. He thought we should do an IQ test. And I said, yep. I thought, okay, for some reason, he thinks less of me, and IQ seemed important to him. And I know I do pretty good on those tests, so I felt we now maybe could click or bond. He got to select the test, but he only scored 101, and when I said I got over 131, he did not believe me. I had to show my result on screen to his face before he believed me. And it did not help in him asking me any questions. It would go from him to my male colleague, to me, to my male colleague, to him. It felt weird, but that is really common also when it comes to other questions from other teams or customers. I guess it's the boxing in that comes to play. Guys are technical, girls are not technical, and you don't think outside the box. The brain always wants to take the easy way out, not to go on overload. But boy, are we missing out on knowledge. Anyway, I started to notice that I didn't get all the information. When we had meetings going through what we were supposed to be doing, the guys would not say anything. I could have heard him earlier on the phone that there was plans on a new feature to the system, but when I asked about it, he had nothing to tell. And right after, when we were having a meeting with our boss, he would spill everything right away. Other things like support that we used to rotate once a week each, they thought was not fun. It was beneath them to do anything other than new development. That was the comment I got. We used to have meetings where we would split up the work and everyone got to choose their task from a list. I decided that I would just take a task if no one else wanted it. Then they could not say anything, or so I thought. However, they did not show this in front of the manager. So one day when I was going off on a 3-day course, I had started working on one thing that I didn't finish, and when I came back, I finished it and checked in my stuff. But then the version control said it was already checked in. Do you want to keep your changes? So I backed up what I had finished and went in again to see the latest changes, and then my task had been done by someone else who apparently really wanted to do that task. But other boring ones was not done, and I was asked if I could do them, because he had no time. I took this up with my boss. He was a brand new boss, so not easy for him, but all he said was, no, let's move on. For some reason, I should not have taken the technical responsibility, because I got to hear that word a lot. One of the guys just took my task all on his own and couldn't fix it. So he said, "Fix it now, technical responsible." And I told him what needed to be done, and if he wanted to do it so much, he could have said something about it, and he could have have it on his list. But he did not comment on that, and he did not want to do it that way, and I should fix it immediately. But then I said, just do what I just said, and it will be okay. I'm sure you'll fix it, but next time, say you want it. And I left. We would always go, all of our team, to lunch. We would always wait for each other. If someone went to powder their nose, they would start to forget about me. They would even tell it to my face when they came back, as to make sure I would really know about it. And when I would come to the fika couch, it would become dead silent. To make a long story short, I always thought I was a strong person. I didn't see any difference in me being a programmer or a guy being a programmer. I just didn't. My vision was that Sweden is an equal country, and that was my focus. I didn't see anything else. That was my box. I blamed me, and I was so ashamed. I guess that's why I held on for so long. But you can't change someone else. You can only change yourself. Anyway, I decided to quit. I said to myself, I know this shit now. I can't say if it's the culture of the company that is the problem, or if it is the people actually implementing the culture, or maybe sometimes both. I definitely knew I needed to change. I believe in being a nice person. I believe we need more love in this world. But I forgot it also applied to me. I wanted to develop myself, so I started to study psychology and genius psychology at Lund University. And after a year, I knew I needed to take programming back up again, or choose to do something completely different. I actually applied to the psychologist program and got in. But I also applied to 4 different jobs that I thought might be of interest. Got offered them all. One side effect of being a woman in this business, I think. I took the one that felt the best. The founder of the company interviewed me and had actually done some background research, knew what had happened and why I quit my last job. I really wanted to meet someone I was going to work with, besides the old IT manager and the new IT manager. I got to meet the person doing the support. The founder asked me if I had applied for other jobs, and I said, yep. And he said, and you have been offered them also? And I said, yep. So then he signed the contract and gave me the contract in my hand and said, I want you to come back with this signed. I just felt everything fall back into place. It was a really fun place to work and so many nice people. Even if I was not told that I was the first new developer on the new IT team. I was really angry at the time. However, anger has one big benefit. Fear goes away. No one was going to do the same thing to me again. And one incident that only happened once, because I believe I had such a great manager at the time, was this. We developed an application for a specific solution, and then we were more people on the team. One network technician wanted to design the flow, and I said it does not work that way. I've done this before, and if you want to change it, then we need to do it this way. But he insisted and got really angry that I said it would not work, and we decided to let the manager decide how to go about it, or he suggested that, and I said, okay, but I want to be there as well, so let's wait until he comes to us. But then he goes off to talk to him and comes back and said, it's decided now. Our manager says we are going to do it my way. Then I say, what? We just agreed on waiting to make a joint decision with our manager, and you go and talk to him on your own anyway. So I go and talk to our manager and tells this story you just heard, and he says, let's do it the way he says, and he will see it's wrong. And then we will do it your way. Then I want you to talk to him yourself, that it's not okay. And if he does not listen, I will talk to him. He never swiped anything under the rug and always sorted things out. I just loved it there, but I got married and I got pregnant. And when my child arrived to this world, I realized that if I continued to work there, I would not see her awake. So I decided to take a job close to where I live. Considering all that had happened in my life, I was really focusing on giving my child all the chances in the world. And so was my husband. Gender equality was the big focus, so we didn't get any specific stuff in specific colors. We wanted to have all the colors, as well as gender and neutral ones. Also toys in all colors, and dolls and cars, and so on. It is quite amazing how much of a big deal it is for some people not really being able to tell what gender the baby has simply by looking at the clothes. They get very annoyed not knowing how to say hi, and then in the next sentence saying, I don't make any difference whether it's a boy or if it's a girl. Need I say, we split the parental leave 50-50, and yes, I still breastfed more than 1.5 years. It was first when my daughter was in daycare that she came home one day and said, Mom, I can't wear these clothes. I'm a girl. I should be wearing girl clothes. And I say, well, you're a girl and you're wearing those clothes. So aren't they then girl clothes? And she goes, no, girl clothes are dresses and they are pink. Another thing that really made me think about gender is when we were going through toy magazines. I wanted her to pick out herself what she would like to have. And I liked Lego when I grew up. And when we came to that section, she just skipped it. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. Why did you skip those pages? And she says, it's not for me. And I go, why is it not for you? And she says, it's a boy toy. And I say, no, it's not. Why do you say that? And she says, you see it on the color. And in this case, it was not just the color of the toy itself, but also the entire back of the page in the magazine. But Lego had just released Lego Friends, so I went ahead and bought some, and the Lego was now also for girls. Then I started working for a consultant firm, and I got to learn to program business systems instead. We decided to get a sibling to our daughter, and when it was time to get back to work, and I contacted them to get prepared again, then I was told this: you cannot be on maternity leave working as a consultant. My customers had left the company. And when you hear this again, you cannot believe you live in Sweden. I cannot be hearing it correctly, I was thinking to myself. But I was told that my customers had left the firm, so there were no more jobs for me. The customers left to a competitor, and they contacted me, so I started to work there instead. It was very different working there. There are definitely two different companies, from just doing specific parts and not having the whole overview, to have a full responsibility over everything and working often more on your own completely, directly with the customer. I could get the push to speak up for myself from my boss, but it was not really the truth. It was a very real hierarchy there, and what the owners or partners said, even if it really wasn't so, that was the truth of what was going to be done. One example was when the application was going to be used on an iPad, for instance, and how it was going to be done. This partner was going to investigate it, and his conclusion was that it could not be done. He had tried it, and he had even bought a real cert, so it shouldn't have anything to do with that. I had got a certificate to be installed correctly before when I worked at a different company. And there I got the comment, "Sweetie, it took us 3 months to install that cert the last time. Don't think you can come here and do it in less than 3 hours." I read up on it, and it took less than 3 days. So after knowing this, I asked, what type of certificate are you using? I didn't get any good answer. Anyway, I Googled a little bit, since it didn't involve an iPad before, and found the solution and tested it, and it worked. But the answer I got to it was that it was not secure enough, so it was not going to be used. Another example I think that made me feel that things was not as they seemed was when my boss said this in a meeting. She was getting too cocky, so I had to put her down. She needs to know her place. I think an environment that Margaret Heffernan talks about in her TED Talk, "Now it is time to forget the pecking order at work," is a great inspiration to listen to. One positive thing, though, is that there have been a few changes at both companies, and that they've actually changed at least some organizational things like how to work and who is responsible, and the other companies started hiring people of different culture. Unfortunately, I still think in the boardroom, things gone from at least one woman to all men. When I was in the process of talking about working at Verisure, where I work now, I thought, to hell with it. If I can't be honest working at a security firm, then I don't want to work there anyway. But I'm glad that it was appreciated. I am also thankful that I got this opportunity to do this and face my fear. It goes away then, or at least so I'm told. According to my experiences, I believe it does not matter what type of discrimination you are experiencing: gender, age, size, class, etc. All of them boils down to us valuing one thing over another and the boxing in of people. But we are just looking in our own boxes most of the time. It really doesn't say so much about them, but a whole lot more about ourselves. So what a change in this world it would be if we would give an extra effort in trying to value things equally And to any new potential new developer here, I would like to quote Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Thank you.